So what does the road ahead look like for Uber on the global market? Well, Brett Sifling joins us live from Los Angeles for more. Brett is an investment advisor representative at Gerber Kawasaki. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Rachelle.
So let's start with the biggest consequences for Uber when it comes to this latest decision to extend the license.
So it's interesting that Uber is, people are looking at this ruling around the world as kind of a precedent for moving forward, as well as the classification in California that's happening.
So this license extension, it's only good for 2 months. What's the strategy behind extending it for such a short period of time?
Well, at the end of the day, Uber really needs to prove to London why they deserve to drive alongside the knowledge cab drivers who are well experienced and well regulated. And I don't think that necessarily that they are.
So let us know how we got here. Walk us through the criticisms that led up to Uber coming under fire.
Yeah, so just like many tech companies, Uber has moved in and really is starting to ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission like they should have. And I really do think if they would have just come to the cities beforehand and just asked for permission to operate there, that they'd probably have about half the rules that they are currently expected to have.
And we certainly saw a lot of pushback from traditional taxi drivers. How are they being affected?
Yeah, well, traditional taxi drivers like in New York City or London, it's a very expensive and very lengthy time process to become one. And so in this Uber category, it's really just exploiting the vagueness of the laws. And at the end of the day, those taxi drivers, those costs of the licenses drove the cost of the cab. And Uber is just not paying that.
So expand on that for us, the taxi driver qualifications in London. Just how tough and expensive is the process compared to other major cities like New York?
It's a very, very tough process. They have over 300 routes that they have to memorize, and it's also a very expensive process. They say it's like taking a law exam or a medical exam to become a doctor, actually.
Goodness. Well, we know that there are also a lot of rivals for Uber on top of everything else. Who are their biggest competitors in England?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest competitors just around the world is going to be Lyft. Right now, they only operate mostly domestically in the US, but they have the same classification and regulatory issues as Uber does.
So then, can we expect Uber's rivals then to face similar scrutiny?
I do think that they're going to face similar scrutiny, and as people look at this ruling of the license in London, as well as the classification ruling in California, I think it's really going to set the precedents for cities around the globe on how they view ride-sharing services and how it really shapes the businesses moving forward.
Now, we've seen this latest ruling in London, and as you mentioned, also the ruling in California. Is this the beginning of a trend, or is this something that could be limited to Uber?
No, I really do think it is a trend, and like I mentioned, they're asking for forgiveness, not permission, just like most tech companies are these days, just like Airbnb or Bird. And as lawmakers catch up to the technology and catch up to this, they're going to set time for regulation, and their time is coming.
And seeing how Uber is now, since it was the biggest one that really put itself out there first, in terms of opportunities then for rivals who are watching what's happening with Uber, what sort of opportunities could there be for them?
Yeah, there definitely are tons of opportunities outside of the actual ride. So there's Uber Eats now, which is another low margin business, and they're also trying to go into more self-driving cars. So they're trying to diversify away from this specific taxi cab culture and into other businesses.
All right, thank you so much. Brett Sifling there, investment advisor representative at Gerber Kawasaki.